Welcome to the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast, where we make entrepreneurial founders a top priority. Each episode features risk takers, business builders, community shapers, institutional and government supporters in our local startup ecosystem. Tune in weekly to hear all about what's happening with the movers and the shakers of Southern California's Inland Empire and beyond. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Founders Podcast. Today, I am with Zeb Welborn, who is the president of the Chino Chamber of Commerce. I'm just going to let Zeb introduce himself, tell us a little bit about who he is, where he grew up, how did he get into the chamber, mention some of his other business endeavors. Take it away, Zeb.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Excited to chat with you today. I am born and raised in Chino Hills. So I've lived here pretty much my whole life, mostly, within a couple of cities of this place. I technically live in Ontario right now. And I lived in Chino for about 10 years. So I've kind of lived in Chino Hills, Chino, and Ontario. I got involved in the chamber when I started my online marketing business, which is called Welborn Media. So I was involved in online marketing, and my thought was I wanted to join a business organization, for a couple of reasons. One, I knew nothing about business, so I wanted to learn from people who had been successful in business. So I want to connect with successful business owners. Two, doing online marketing, the decision makers for hiring you are going to be business owners. So I wanted to make sure that I chatted with folks so that I could have potential business clients. And then I also did want to get involved and connected in community, because if you're doing online marketing, you're kind of sitting at home on your computer all day. And I wanted to definitely get out and connect with other people. So those are kind of the main reasons why I got involved in Chamber. The Chamber has been an organization since 1913. So we've been around for over 100 years. And I got involved and pretty early on, was asked to volunteer or participate in a lot of different ways. My business won the Chino Hills Business of the Year in 2012.
Nice.
That was given out by the chamber. And then they asked me to be on their board of directors. So I served as a volunteer on their board of directors for probably like 4 or 5 years. And then there were some changes that happened at the role that I have now at the executive director position. After a couple of iterations of that, they asked if I would become the president of the chamber. And so I agreed. So that's how I got involved in running the chamber. I've been running it for 4 years now. And I do it because I enjoy this community. I feel like I have a vision for how I want our business community to look like.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to create that vision here in Chino and Chino Hills.
Yeah, I want you to talk a little bit more about that vision, but let's go back a little bit to young Zeb Welborn and Chino, where you grew up at. Like, did you ever think you'd be doing, digital marketing, or even a part of being the president of the chamber? What did you want to be when you grew up?
That's a good question, and I don't know how in depth you want to go. So I'll run through. I'll try to do this fast, but I'll share with you my.
I'm telling you, we got time.
All right, cool.
You moved through that first part pretty fast, so we got time.
Sounds good. So, young Zeb, I wanted to be a professional baseball player or soccer player. I was not good enough to do either of those things. So it moved into, when I went to college. So my parents always encouraged me to go to college. That's something that I always was like destined to do, go to college. I got good grades in school. So I went to college. I went to Cal State Fullerton. But when I got there, I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So my first class I took, a friend of my dad's, he's an accountant. So he's like, you should be accounting. I love what I do. You should go into accounting. And so that was the only thing. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do accounting. I signed up for an accounting class. I did a semester of it. And then I was like, this is way too boring for me.
Not for me, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So I couldn't do that. So I signed up for a marketing class. In that marketing class, I took one class, and there was the professor told a joke on the very first day of this class, which was not funny. The entire class erupts in laughter. And I was like, I can't hang out with these people the rest of my life if they think that's funny. So I left that day, and I changed my major to a journalism major.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And then I went to the journalism major. I took a class. My dad, he was a reporter for the Orange County Register for 30 years. And I thought that I couldn't ask questions. Like, the main reason was I didn't think I could come up with stories on my own. I didn't think I could ask the right questions of people. And so I was kind of intimidated by going in that direction. And then I landed on history because I just liked the classes more than anything, which is not a good reason to choose anything. But I enjoyed the classes, and that's why I chose history. And so when you get a history degree, I don't know what else you can do with a history degree other than be a teacher. So I got my teacher's credential, and then I taught.
You kind of remind me of a teacher. You really kind of remind me of a teacher. Yes, that's what I was thinking.
All right. Well, it fits then because I taught high school history for 4 years. I taught here in Chino Hills. So I taught for 4 years. And then I went through some personal challenges in my life, and I ended up, so I left, I got divorced, and then I was kind of thinking that the reason for the divorce was that I worked too much in my role as a teacher, because I wanted to be a really good teacher. I didn't want to be a mediocre one. So I left teaching, but I left in 2007, which is when the recession happened. Right when I left, I did not realize that it was going to be extremely difficult to find a job. And I remember, my plan was I was going to just hop in a car, travel around the country, and land in a city somewhere and try to find a job somewhere. So for 3 months, I traveled around the country, and I'll never forget. I went to my first stop was in Phoenix, Arizona, and there was like a Buffalo Wild Wings that was opening up. And so I went to apply, and they were like interviewing massive amounts of people there. There was a stack this tall of applications. Oh my goodness. So it was like impossible to get it. And even at Buffalo Wild Wings, it was impossible to get So I traveled the country for 3 months. I couldn't find a job anywhere. I moved back home, and then I started so the only job that I could find was I was doing one-on-one tutoring with a student. In Norco. So I lived in Chino. So I'd commute to Norco. I do one-on-one tutoring. And then I was like, well, since I can't find a job, I got to make some income somehow. So I figured I'd start that as a business. So I started my tutoring business, knowing nothing about business. But my thought in my head was, if I figure out how to get on the top of Google, if somebody searches tutoring in Chino or tutoring in Chino Hills, that my website would show up and that they'd hire me. So I had to figure out how to get on there. So I figured out how to do that.
Nice. This was back in 2007, right? So
it was, 2007. So figured out how to get on the top of Google.
The algorithm was a little bit different at the time too.
Oh, for sure. So you learn the tips and tricks on how to get up there. So my business was at the top of Google for a long time. The tutoring business grew, and when I So through that, you also learn. So I wanted to get on top of Google, but you also learn about email marketing. You also learn about social media. You also learn about all of these other things that you can implement. So I kind of, how did that work? I had a kid, one of the kids, that first kid that I started tutoring. His mom was a business owner, and she said, you know what, Zeb, I really like what you're doing with all that online stuff that you're posting. How about you do some of that for me?
That's awesome.
So it paid pretty well. And so I sent an email out to, like my contacts, just said, hey, if I'm looking to start this new venture doing online marketing for folks, if you're interested, let me know. And so I had about 5 of my friends and family and business owners sign up right away. So almost instantaneously, I was making more than what I was making in the tutoring business with my marketing business. So I hired somebody to take over the tutoring business. And I've been running this business full-time I shouldn't say full-time because I'm also running the chamber, but I've been running it for 10 years.
That's amazing. So that marketing expertise, I'm pretty sure transfers over very well to what you're doing with the chamber.
For sure.
Absolutely. So there's so many things that comes together for the chamber, and we'll get a little bit more into that. So, but tell me, you actually told me quite a bit. I want to hear more specifically, however, though, about, your involvement after you got involved with the chamber, and what even, how did you get the idea of wanting to be the president of the chamber? How'd that come about? Were you just voluntold? Did somebody say, here's the position now? So how did you come to that point?
So long story short, I guess I got involved in the chamber as a volunteer, and I feel like Like one of the first things that I know that I did in a volunteer capacity was they asked me if I would help them out with their social media. So I did their social media for free for a while, so I posted on their social media channels.
Yes.
And then I feel so then you get asked to do a bunch of other stuff. So I just volunteer and say, I'd help out on various committees. They asked me to be on the board of directors. So I just in that role on the board, you're just giving guidance, right? You're saying, here's how I feel like we can grow the chamber, enhance it. And one of the things that I feel like people probably picked up on was that I have a vision for the chamber that was not what it had been.
Nice.
Historically speaking. So like the chamber was not doing well in terms of its reputation, I would say.
Yes.
As I got involved and so the vision that I feel like I'm implementing or that I've had for the chambers is when I joined, I was looking for advice from business owners so that I could be better in my business, which meant that I had to connect with people who were running successful businesses. And when I joined the chamber, there just wasn't really that opportunity. There wasn't the opportunity to connect with successful business owners so that I could learn from them and I could meet with them like what you're doing now by interviewing me. That's something that I did on my own, but I wanted to do it with local people. Like I wanted to sit down at lunch and have lunch with somebody that's been successful in their business so I could pick their brain for an hour,
Yes, valuable, very valuable.
Yeah, so that's what I've tried to cultivate is I want to cultivate, where it's bringing both together. And I feel like what the chamber was when I joined was a predominantly small business, predominantly people who are in the same boat as I was, which are just, starting out, establishing themselves, which is good, but you also need to have the other component of those large businesses that are investing in the work that you're doing so you can help those businesses. So I feel like those are the things that I was kind of continually pushing for.
Yes.
So people start to recognize that, I guess. So so it wasn't something I pursued. It wasn't something I wanted to do. It was actually something that I told them no many times that I did not want to do it. But eventually I said yes. And I'm really glad that I did. I think
that's cool.
This is an opportunity to be impactful. We're helping businesses. We're building a stronger community than we had prior to me getting here. And I think that stuff that's all very rewarding and fulfilling for me. And one of the main reasons why I got into business or why I wanted to be a teacher was so that I could make an impact, a positive impact in people's lives. And I feel like I'm doing that right now.
You came on my radar because you're pretty active on social media. So that's part of the reason why you showed up on my radar, and most of the times if a person is active, then I'm seeing their post or people are tagging them and I'm like, hey, who is they tagging? I don't even know how we got connected on LinkedIn. Maybe it was after that event. So it was at the entrepreneur event. You mentioned that. So yeah, we met at the State of the Entrepreneur report that was held by the Inland Empire Center for Entrepreneurship. That was a really great report. And we got a chance to meet there. And I at the moment I met you, I was like, I need to get him on the podcast. I don't know if I told you at the moment, but that was my intention.
Well, good to know. And I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. The Inland Empire startup ecosystem industry is tremendously fragmented. A few top-tier hubs, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego, are well covered by media, events, and data platforms. Finding reliable information relevant to startups or the tech industry in the Inland Empire is extremely difficult. As a result, startups can't scale fast enough. Investors are having a hard time finding the right deals, and corporates can't find the right companies to partner with for their innovation activities. Startempire Wire, the leading Inland Empire startup publication, is providing the Inland Empire startup ecosystem with the most accurate, engaging business and financial data, events, and news. Our reach of entrepreneurs, C-level executives, angels, VC investors, startup employees, key management at innovative corporates, and big tech is the solution for your B2B or B2C needs. As we build out our platform, we're looking for partners. This is your opportunity to get in on the ground level. If you're looking to align yourself with the local and growing startup and tech ecosystem of the Inland Empire, we have created the platform to get your name noticed and the opportunity for you to grow the recognition of your brand. Contact us today for availability and pricing options. We look forward to our partnership with you. So let me ask you about, like, as you've been a part of the chamber, how have you seen growth from where you started to where you are now? You know, like, what are some key milestones of growth in the chamber that you've seen happen? And then what have been some of those growing pains? You know, what are some of the challenges? You know?
Good question. So I'll try my best. We had so I feel like what we've done, my main goal when I joined, so the reason why they asked me to join it was because we were not doing good financially, I would say. So it was struggling would be the word that I would use.
Yeah.
And so that was my main goal in joining, or taking that on, is I wanted to turn that around. And to be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure what that was. I knew I could, but I wasn't quite, you're never certain about anything. So right. I just committed to trying to do that. So the first phase was just making sure that we were in a solid financial position and that we could continue to grow. And so it took a year, it took a year of a lot of hard work and dedication, and we were losing like 40. We were a small organization, so when you lose $40,000 a year, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's hard for a small organization for sure.
Yeah, and so we turned that around, and we kind of were breaking even after that first year. But I did set us up really well to go in the future. So the next year was kind of what I'd call a growth phase. We were adding a lot of members. The main thing that I was going after was those large businesses that I mentioned. That's the vision that I saw for the chamber, was I needed large businesses to be involved in the business community so that they can be connected with folks. And so that was what I kind of committed myself to doing. So I did a really good job of that. A lot of big businesses or larger businesses in our area stepped up, got involved as sponsors, which also helped the financial position of the chamber.
How did you reach out to those large businesses? Was it just, meet them in person at events, or did you cold outreach them? What happened?
I mean, it was kind of everything. Like, we have large businesses that are in the chamber, they're members of the chamber, but they just weren't involved, and because nobody would outreach to them. So I feel like it wasn't like I did anything amazingly profound or that there was anything new to it, but it was individual, personal outreach, one-on-one kind of stuff. So yeah, we'd go out to lunches sometimes. It's kind of like up to them. It'd be on the phone. It would be cold calling, and I don't want to call it cold calling because they are members of the chamber. So we're calling them for a purpose, or they're in our community, So I feel like the difference with a chamber versus like my business, calling them up, say, hey, you want to do online marketing, is a different ask than,
completely.
Hey, do you want to get involved in our business community because you live here, you work here, and
right. You already have a sense of credibility. The chamber has been around for 100 years, so like that's kind of a little bit of a warm contact, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So that was kind of the growth phase. So we did get a lot of those businesses come in, and then of course March 2020, COVID hit, and the chamber world. What I would say about like chambers in general, and like I'm involved in some service clubs like Rotary or Kiwanis, is that most of those clubs, chambers included, I would say are in decline, meaning that they're, less and less people are interested in joining those. There's people getting involved and that kind of thing. And I think it was because we're doing the same strategies that when I got involved, and why people picked up on what I was doing, because it was different from what had been done previously, and it was probably going to be more beneficial. Yeah. So when COVID hit, my online marketing skill set came in full play, and it came in full play to support the businesses that were going through that issue. So we did a ton of stuff that nobody else was doing. Right on day one, so COVID hits, we get a phone call from we had an event scheduled that week. Actually, we were doing our salute to public safety. So we had like 300 people that were supposed to be attending this event. And on Monday, we got a phone call that said we needed to cancel it. And it was on Thursday or something like that. Oh. So we canceled that event, but then immediately we switched to, we started this webinar. It was a Zoom webinar.
Oh, yes.
So like nobody knew Zoom before in March 2020, or at least not really, but we had already, like literally a month before, I had bought a Zoom package because I was going to be doing, stuff like.
Of course, yeah.
So we bought that, and we did I call it a Chino Valley Leaders webinar. So we invited people who were like in the know, a little bit in the know, to attend and just share what's happening with businesses. Obviously, there's a lot of funding, like PPP loan programs and funding sources. So we were constantly working on the phone and the computers, connecting people with those opportunities, making sure they were taking advantage of them. So I feel like we helped out a lot of businesses that were during a very uncertain time. And I think that a lot of people, business owners, community, recognized that. And
I recognize some of the stuff you guys were putting out. And so that's really cool. So when the COVID lockdown hit, you guys immediately were able to adapt because you already have those internet marketing skills, and you put together the leadership call. That's freaking awesome. I mean, I wonder how many chambers were able to adapt that easily.
Yeah, that's what I realized. A lot of them did. A lot of chambers, and it's interesting being in the chamber world. A lot of them really stepped up and did that. And I don't want to everybody certainly was helping in their own way. So everybody was doing them, but I think a lot of people ended up doing their work behind the scenes because they didn't have the online computer skill set stuff. Yeah. So it's not recognized as much as the work that we were doing, because it is, we're so convening, having our meetings that we normally would. Whereas then I think a lot of other chambers kind of like stopped all of the collaborative things that they were doing and were focusing on backgrounds, making phone calls to people, which still made a big difference. But it's just a different kind of difference. And so you could see a lot of chambers really struggled during that year. Ours fortunately did not. Our chamber continued to grow and expand, even in a situation like
that's a big thing.
Businesses are shut down,
No, that's a really big thing. That's a great thing. So that really is a testament to, excuse me. That really is a testament to the leadership. And so that's very cool. So along with what happened, during COVID, and then after things started to open back up again, what were some of the first things that you guys implemented once things started to open up again?
Yeah, so that brings us to our next phase, which is, I feel like, the phase that we're in right now, which is thinking of big picture programs to help support our community at large. So we've done a lot of foundational work. We're establishing relationships with businesses and getting an understanding of what are the challenges that they're all facing right now. And it's not a surprise to anybody that the biggest challenge facing our businesses right now is workforce shortages, right? Everybody's having a tough time hiring people. Everybody's seeing those help wanted signs everywhere. And like, I've dealt with a lot of restaurants lately. So restaurants, you go into a restaurant, it's like half empty, but there's a line out the door because they can't seat everybody because they don't have enough staff to serve those people. And a couple of other businesses, a couple of other restaurants are shut down on certain days of the week because they don't have the staff to cover that. So that's stunting their growth. That's creating challenges and issues for those businesses. So we've been creating a program that I'm calling Upskill Chino Valley.
Okay, what's that about?
I call it's four different things. It's workforce development, it's leadership development, it's economic development, and probably your favorite one is entrepreneurship development. Yeah. So we're doing those four things. So we're creating essentially like programmatic things like that in order to help try to solve that issue in the long term. I got picked up by the U.S. Chamber to participate in this workforce development cohort. So basically they chose 30 chamber executives across the country because this is an issue that is not going to go away anytime soon. And so we've got to really be proactive about how do we solve this workforce issue. So those four things are all in theory lining up so that we can try to solve those problems by creating pathways of folks to either pursue careers, pursue entrepreneurship, pursue opportunities. And we're kind of helping those folks that are interested in that stuff stay in our communities and be connected to the opportunities that are in our communities. I use a story that my friends and family, or like, you I grew up here, so not everybody stayed here. A lot of people left, but I think a lot of people wanted to stay here, but they couldn't find the jobs that they wanted without driving to LA or Orange County. So I had some friends move to Texas. I've had some friends move to Alabama, Florida, other places, because they found jobs. Me being in the role that I'm in at now, I know that those jobs were available here. They just didn't know about them or know how to access those jobs. So I feel like if I can help people to get educated here, because we have a really good educational system, if I can help them stay and work here, that our community is going to benefit from that.
That's so true. And in order for people to stay in this region, they need to be aware of what's available. And so that's huge. So do you guys currently have anything that you want to put out with like regard to like maybe do you guys have a job board set up or where people can go view what's available? Where would they go to, like online?
So sitting next to me right now is our workforce development director, Renee. Her name's Renee.
Okay. Hi, what's up, Renee?
So we brought her in as our workforce development director to try to help be like the connection point between people who are looking for job opportunities or career pathways here and our business. She's playing that facilitation. Like one of the reasons why I'm kind of going down this road and I'm looking for support for this program is because I would try, like when I first got involved, as an example, internships, like a lot of our businesses are interested in internship opportunities, meaning bringing somebody, training them on site, exposing them to their business, and having somebody there that they can train and mentor. The challenge, so I would set those up. I would create those opportunities. I'd send them up. I'd pass them off, whether it be through the school district or through some agency. But then that connection, when the next semester hit and that person was done with their specific program, we just would forget to reconnect on it. And then, so we just be like a one-off. And the reason why we brought Renee in is because she can make that a consistent thing that we're doing forever,
Follow up and things like that, right?
Exactly. So she's got we do have a job board on the Chino Valley Chamber website. Renee's done a great job of keeping that updated with all of the job opportunities that we as an organization are aware of. So that's put up on our Chino Valley Chamber job board. So if you're looking for a job in Chino or Chino Hills, you definitely want to check out that job board. And you also want to connect with Renee from the Chino Valley Chamber. We are doing a job fair. When is this getting published?
This will be published probably a week within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a job fair. So if it might be like the next day.
Okay.
We're doing a job fair on the 21st.
The 21st. Okay.
21st from 1 to 4 at Chaffey College Community Center, and we're going to do job fairs. There's a lot of stuff like that: the career expos, entrepreneurship fairs. So those are the types of things we're putting together for for our local community.
That's very cool. So we can also mention the job fair in our weekly wire roundup. We're putting out, weekly wire roundup, so we can do that as well. I just need maybe the flyer up for it, or if you have it posted on your website. So the next question I have for you is, what are the current needs of the Chino Chamber?
So let's see, our needs are, I feel like the main thing that we thrive on is engagement from our businesses.
Yes.
So we develop those one-on-one relationships, and it just gives us feedback on how we can be of support. So essentially, I need to figure out I need to chat with enough businesses to know the challenges that they're facing, whether it be as an individual or just collectively, and then we can work on solving those problems. And so, like with our Upscale Chino Valley program, we are looking for funding from businesses to invest in the work that we're doing, so that we can continue to do that work to help those businesses find employees, not just today, but for the foreseeable future. And so that would require us to create opportunities and programs and bring potential job seekers. Like right now, the problem is finding folks. So our focus is going to be on bringing job seekers to our businesses, to trainings that we're hosting to help prepare them for certain jobs. So those are the types of things that we're going to be developing. So from the businesses, we want a couple of things. One, for them to invest in the work that we're doing financially.
Invest in the work.
to invest in what they're doing when it comes to just engaging with us, giving us feedback, letting us know what's working, what's not working. And then probably the third thing is we just sent out a survey to all of our businesses to say, hey, are you open to accepting interns? Are you open to doing a job shadowing program? Are you open to doing coming into the school classroom to talk about your business so that kids can be exposed to your business at an earlier age? At the beginning, I was talking about my career path. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I was supposed to go to college.
Right.
I think if I had been exposed to opportunities of businesses that actually lived here and I was able to find something, you'll be exposed to like 10 different things.
Right.
Maybe I would have chosen something totally different from the career path I ended in because I had that opportunity to see like real world job experiences in the flesh versus like I feel like the only job opportunities I was exposed to was my dad was a reporter and I went to school, so therefore I was being a teacher, being an educator.
Right.
So those are the only things that I saw. Like this is something that I know what this looks like. I did not know what any other job would look like. So I remember as a kid, I had a teacher say that I should go for engineering. So she wrote on the paper, "Go for engineering."
Wow.
And I didn't know what that was.
Oh yeah.
And I had no desire. My brother's an engineer now, and I know that he's done very well for himself, and that's something where I just didn't even know what it was, and I didn't really care. Not that I didn't care, but I didn't have any opportunities to explore what that is or what that was, and maybe I would have chosen a different path,
And that's what you guys are providing through your what's it called, Chino Career Paths program again?
Upskill Chino Valley.
Upskill Chino Valley. So that's a big initiative. And when are you guys launching that?
I mean, so it's in action, it's stuff that we're doing. It's just like evolving over time. So we have gotten some funding, I'll say, or some investment from our community. San Bernardino County Workforce Development Board. We got a contact through them to help with the workforce issue, which allowed us to bring Renee on board.
Very cool.
We got a contract with Chino Valley Unified School District to do that connection for those students, to connect them with real world opportunities. We just got approved for a contract with County Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office, and so they're investing more specifically towards entrepreneurship.
Nice.
And so those are things that we've secured so far, and I'm under the impression that there are a couple of other things that will be coming our way soon, but I don't know exactly what that is yet. So
whoever sees this, if you are looking to invest in helping to upskill workers, you're local and you want to get your name out there, contact Zeb.
Thank you. I like that.
Yeah. So next, I guess the last couple of questions coming up here. What are, outside of the Upskill Chino Valley program you guys are running, let's talk about any other immediate short-term goals that you guys are focused on accomplishing, just short-term.
Sure. So every year there's a book that I read. It was at one point in my career, which was called Measure What Matters. And it was like the guys at Google, how they do their goal setting. I've adopted that. I've kind of turned it into my own. So I'm not sure if what I'm using now is what they would approve of, but it's essentially setting goals. And I do it on an annual basis. The chamber world, or at least our chamber, our fiscal year starts in July and ends in June. So that's how I kind of assess our work. So every July, I'll come up with a new set of goals for the year. And those are the things that I put my focus into.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, so I have identified those. I'm going to see if I can remember them because I did put them down. But I know for sure one of the things is, we've done a lot of work, but we don't often tell the story of the work that we do. So actually, before you and I started chatting today, we were talking about, how we were connected, and that you guys, that through your website, you had taken something we had done and shared it, which is that through Renee's work, we got a company called Student Hires. They were able to hire, I want to say 10 employees. And that for those 10 employees that they hired, they got reimbursed 50% of their wages or more. for the work that they were doing. And it amounted to about $15,000 that we helped this company save. And they were able to hire 10 new people. So it was good for the business. It was good for the county. It was good for the chamber. Yes. So you guys covered that story, but those are things that we don't necessarily toot our own horn about, I guess. So there's, So normally we don't do that kind of stuff. One of my goals is storytelling this year.
So storytelling is going to be this year. One of the things I wanted to mention though is that we love to report on stuff like that. So you got, things that you want to tell. We're actually going to be setting up a press release ability for people locally who want to just like drop a regular press release that, that will be informal or informant. It would inform the community.
No, it sounds great. And I do have a plan. I do have plans, so I'll make sure that you're included on that list in terms of when we send those things out for sure.
Yes. Okay.
So that's one thing. The other thing is we're, focusing on implementing I mentioned we got some good amount of funding coming in for the work that we're doing. So now we need to execute on the work that we're doing. And so one of the big focuses is going to be making sure that we execute on that. So what that looks like for us is, we're doing roundtable discussions. We've got our first one coming up next week. We're going to be sitting down with the mayor of Chino Hills. I'm going to bring businesses that are having challenges with the city and making sure there's an opportunity for them to connect so that the mayor knows the issues that these businesses are facing.
Okay.
So that'll be an example of one of those things. We're going to create a leadership program here in Chino and Chino Hills.
Yes.
Involved in a couple of those. So we've got I feel like a cool vision to help build sustaining leadership in our area.
Yes.
So that's another thing that we have on our list. Let's see. We do need, with the funding, we need to sort out our financials. So we have to make sure that we're accounting for that properly.
Right.
So that is going to be, and then also, if I'm sure many folks are familiar, some of the funds, they require you to be a certain type of organization. Mm-hmm. So we're considered a 501c6 organization, which means it's a nonprofit, but it operates differently than like a traditional nonprofit. So that's a 501c3. Yes. But many chambers and many organizations, in order to do that work, are unable to receive some of those funds. We need to set that up. So that's something else we need to put on our plate. And so that's 3 of the 6, and I don't remember.
3 of the 6. All right. No, that's great. That is great. Those are short-term goals. Do you have any like long-term goals? I usually ask 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, but do you even see yourself here still building the chamber in 3, 5, or 10 years,
Yeah, so I see, I've got, and Renee reminded me of one of those other things, which is legislative advocacy. One of the other things that a lot of really good chambers do is they run really good legislative advocacy programs. We run it, but we don't. I feel like if I were able to divert a little bit more time towards legislative action and legislative advocacy, that it would help, get more businesses involved. So that was another thing we can do. But long term, in my mind, this is I don't know if this is the right way to look at things, but this is the way that I look at things.
All right.
The reason why I felt that teaching was, or one of the main reasons why I didn't feel like teaching was for me, I kind of articulated one of those earlier, but another reason why I didn't think teaching was for me is because you get your curriculum, you do it. It takes a lot of work in that first year, but then once you kind of narrow it down, you've kind of got you just do the same thing from year to year, and there isn't much growth, like personal growth, I would say. Your personal growth does come, and I'm not saying that it's not, but I felt like I would get bored if I were just doing the same. Like I see these teachers that were good teachers that do the same thing for like 30 or 40 years.
Right.
Some of them dynamic, some of them not so much, and they just kind of like, they'll just kind of do the same thing. But I felt that was something that caused me unknown, I don't even know how to describe it, unknown stress or unknown, like I just didn't feel fulfilled, I guess.
Okay, so
when I'm looking at things, I'm looking at how do I grow things and how do I grow. And when I'm thinking of growth, I don't necessarily have like a long-term target per se.
Right.
I'll say the way that I've phrased my life is I want to grow my organizations or the things that I'm in charge of from year to year and see those things grow. And from a metrics standpoint, it's revenue typically is what I
Yeah. Yes.
So I mentioned all of my business, when I started my first business, that tutoring business.
Yes.
I figured like I'm a smart guy. I know I could build a successful business. I'm going to work my hardest, and I'm going to grow this business. And my goal was to make $1 million in that first year,
Yeah.
in my tutoring business. So I worked and like I worked around the clock, and I mean it from the time that I woke up to the time I went to bed. My sole focus was working on growing that tutoring business. And at the end of the year, I made $40,000. For me, it was like, I wasn't even close. I was definitely not close to getting $1 million, but $40,000 from an idea that I had that was nothing.
Yes. No, that's huge.
So then my plan was like, okay, well, let me just try it again the next year and see if I can grow it even, grow it from there. So the next year I made $60,000.
Nice.
So I grew it by, 50%, as they say. From then on, I've continued to grow the things that I've been tasked with managing and running at a pretty consistent rate of that kind of stuff. And through the process, I've met a lot of really great people who have helped me understand and develop ways that I can do that even more, So our chamber has grown a lot since I took it over.
Yeah. Our
organizations has grown a lot, and we have a board of directors that oversees what we do. So we have this year we were fortunate enough to have a very dynamic person who helped us think of how to what I kind of tasked her with is like, I feel like I know how to grow this things over time. We'll grow it incrementally over time. And I was like, I feel like you know how to exponentially grow what we're doing.
Exponentially.
And I feel like, and I feel like she totally did that. Gave us really good guidance on ways that we can grow this thing exponentially. And that's what we've been doing the last year and a half. And she's coming up, her term's ending in June. So.
Okay. So each one of your terms are how long as a president, and then the other members, how long are your terms?
So my role as a president is like a full-time staff person. I'm hired full-time. I work here until either they fire me or I quit. Or
Okay.
The board of directors is a 3-year term. So they serve on the board for 3 years. They have the option to serve another 3, which would make it 6, and then they have to step off for a year.
Yes.
The chairman, the chairperson of the board, that's the person who's like in charge of the board, in charge of the guidance. Those people typically serve 1-year terms as the chair of the board. Okay.
Awesome. So ultimately your long-term goal in 10 years you're not even going to be here. You said you will probably be there in 10 years, right? You plan on being part of this.
Yeah. That's my plan. I don't have any big overwhelming plans to do anything other than what I'm doing now.
Sweet. Just keep growing it year by year, year over year growth. That's exactly what we were looking for. So next question, where can people find you at online? Are you got a website, social media? How can people get in touch with you and become a part of what you're doing?
So I'm super easy to find online because nobody has my name. So you just type in Zeb Welborn, ZEBWELBORN, and you can find me anywhere. If you want to look at the stuff that we're doing at the chamber, it's ChinoValleyChamber.com is our website, but all the Instagrams and social medias and TikToks and all of that stuff, those are all available for myself and for the chamber.
Very awesome. Is there any type of promotions or anything like that you want to let people know about outside of what you're doing, the upskill? Anything else coming up real soon?
So at the chamber, we always do events, right? We do like once a month, we put on these big events where we get people connected. So I'll just share those events that we have that are our big ones coming up. So at the end of June, we just renovated the interior of our building. So it was a big project for us. We got new carpets, new paints, new ceilings, new furniture, and like all the stuff we had in here was from like the 80s or 90s, and now it's all modern equipment, modern stuff. So we've definitely upskilled or upgraded our chamber office. So we're doing a grand opening and ribbon cutting on June 30th. So that's
Okay.
Yeah, so that's something we're going to do on that day, and that should be a good time. So anybody who wants to come out, we're going to have it's also going to be a new member mixer. So we've probably had about 100 members join since we did our last one. So
That's
there'll be
cool.
100 new members here to people to get connected with, and they're all business owners. We do a business awards luncheon or business awards dinner. So we're going to give out our Chino Business of the Year Award, Chino Hills Business of the Year Award, and that other stuff. And that's going to be in August.
In August, okay.
Yeah, we just planned for our golf tournament committee. So we have a golf tournament, which is in, I think September is when we're planning on doing it.
Okay.
And then we've got this economic forecast that we're doing. So we've hired this professional economist that covers all of Southern California to give an update about what the economy looks like for the Inland Empire and what is the foreseeable future. So we're working in collaboration with some other chambers of commerce to put that on. So those are the big things, but we have like tons of stuff. Every Wednesday morning, we have a business at breakfast where we'll get somebody who speaks about business, gives business advice to our business owners to try to help them grow and expand. So we do that every Wednesday. It's a great place. We have about 40 or 50 that come every week. So if you want to get a chance to meet people, meet business owners who are passionate, who love working with each other, you should definitely come to one of our Wednesday morning business at breakfast.
Where are the business and breakfast going to be at?
They are at the Chino Hills Community Center.
Chino Hills Community Center. Okay, awesome. Well, that's pretty much it, Zeb. I really appreciate you for coming on, sharing about your business, sharing about the chamber, and getting this information out. We're going to publish this within the next 2 weeks, so people will know about these events coming up. Is there any final thing you want to leave with our audience?
The final thing I'll leave with your audience is I don't know. Thank you for listening to the story. I feel like I think this will probably be the thing that I'll share. I feel like it's important for all of us, if you're in business, a startup entrepreneur, to get involved in a business community so that we can help not only help each other, but when you surround yourselves with other business owners and business leaders, you become better at what you do. So I think people will look to a chamber of commerce and traditionally will think of like, well, I can't make the meetings, or it's like, that's not the point of joining the chamber. The point of joining the chambers is we're building a business community so that our businesses are going to be better served. Like if we work together, our businesses are going to be stronger than communities where they don't work together. So if you're thinking of going into business, or you're doing a startup, or you're having all of those things, it's important to get involved in your business community in one way, shape, form, or another, because that's where your workers are going to come from. That's where your kids are going to grow up. That's where you're going to invest your time, effort, and energy. And if you're not looking out for it, who will?
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You have to build your own business community. You got to be a part of the local business community and take ownership of it. So thank you, Zeb, so much for coming on the Founders Podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, tune in for the next Founders Podcast. We publish these every Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the week. And see you next time. Peace.